Good evening, good evening, good evening, you lovely, lovely people. I hope you've had a fantastic weekend. Hope you've had a fantastic 2 weeks. Welcome back to round 4 of 6 here at More Female Racers at the SimGrid Season 4, if you can believe it. David Christie and a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed Laura Loft here with you tonight. Laura, good evening. How are you?
Good evening as well, and I'm fantastic and hope everybody else as well, because we are pumped for Silverstone, as you can already see. That will be interesting, and Spa went super well as Imola. So in terms of the great drives we have seen, Imola was actually the best one. I'm super excited that we see the championship really rolling and cracking out in the next rounds.
Yep, no sooner said than done. Thank you very much for that, Laura. We'll catch up with you in just a second. We've got loads to catch up on. Firstly, let's go and have a chat with Sarah Moore, and then we're going to have a look around the track here at Silverstone. Well, special guest time again, and it's a welcome return for the one and only Sarah Moore, fresh from another thrilling season in real-life motorsport, back to behind the wheel with More Female Racers by Thrustmaster Rockets. Sarah, hello, welcome again. You had Chaz last time, it's myself this time. How has your year been since we spoke to you last?
Yeah, it's all been a bit hectic, to be fair. I've hit a bit of a break at the moment, but up until this break, it was quite hectic with the W Series races, but they were kind of pretty much back to back. So, yeah, I've been busy with the real life racing, trying to fit in a bit of sim racing here and there. Yeah, it's just nice to have a break at the moment.
And do you enjoy that break coming into sim racing? Because obviously your real life schedule, as you've just said, is manic. And then you're topping that up with some sim racing as well. You've been heavily involved with the SimGrid's More Female Racers by Thrustmaster Rockets, and you're obviously back for more.
Yeah, I think I've been doing the More Female Racers since it started, and I started, at the beginning I was fairly new to the sim racing world, so at the start it was just me trying to improve and kind of get better on a sim effectively, which I'm still trying to do, but I'm going in the right direction. But no, I've really enjoyed meeting loads of other, female racers, new or, even ones that have got a lot more experience than me. So yeah, I've really enjoyed it. But, fitting it in around my own racing, I mean, the W Series, I say it's been hectic, but I mean, it's not as many race weekends as what I would usually have. Usually I'm away from home, most weekends of the year, whereas because of COVID, it's still affecting the racing world quite heavily. So I've not been away from home on the racing side of things as much as I would have normally been. So it's allowed me a bit more time to actually be at home. And obviously when I'm at home, I still miss the racetrack. So anytime I can fill with, doing anything to do with racing, I will. So yeah, sim racing just fits in nicely, and I'm still learning new tracks and still improving on the sim.
A lot of parallels to be drawn with your real life season with the W Series and coming into More Female Racers by Thrustmaster Rockets. How important, Sarah, do you think championships, high profile championships are that are dedicated to females only?
I think it's important, the same reason why W Series was created is, the younger generation of girls effectively, or even, females that are older that have never had the chance to get into any form of motorsport. I think it's important to have something for them to look up to, whether it be racing drivers, female mechanics, engineers, truck drivers, anything, within the motorsport world. There's so many different jobs that, that females can do, but they don't realize that they can do because they don't see people visibly doing it. So, I think More Female Racers, for the same reason as W Series, is a massive step in the right direction to try and get more females involved and on board and in the racing world.
And obviously, with Wild Things Racing, it's been a fantastic couple of seasons, as you said, in it from pretty much the start of the championship. How has the team come along, and what are your thoughts ahead of this season 4?
Yeah, so I'm joining Denise Pope's team for this season. So up until this season, I've kind of been on my own, teaming up with different people every season so far. So I've kind of got to the stage now with the more female races that I kind of want to knuckle down and want to, get more into the setup side on ACC. So I've known kind of or raced against Denise through more female races and other races that I've done as well. So yeah, she approached me and said, would you be interested in joining? And like I say, that to me was the next logical step to go join a team to try and learn more about setup, not so much about racing line. Obviously, that's comes secondhand to me, but in terms of setup on a sim, because for me, I can't feel what the car's doing. I find that the setup side of things on a sim are a lot more difficult. So I'm looking forward to working with Denise on that, and looking forward to hopefully a better season.
The other thing I wanted to ask, and I bet I already know the answer before I even ask this, but do you find it easy to enjoy being on the sim, or do you find your competitive nature very quickly comes out and takes over?
I'd probably say it's a bit of both, actually. I definitely feel more relaxed on a sim because, it's nothing compared to real life. For me, having grown up in real life, if you crash a car, you've got to pay the bill effectively. So at least on a sim, yeah, you drop your places, you lose the race, whatever, but you're still in one piece in your seat. So you've got that. But yeah, I definitely enjoy sim racing, and I think it's always going to bring out the competitive side. I'm always going to want to go faster, and I'm always going to want to try and win. So yeah, I'd say a bit of both, really.
And as a champion for females in motorsport, if there was anybody watching this interview that was wanting to get involved in the championship, maybe didn't have the confidence or didn't think that they had the ability to, what would you say to them directly?
I would say reach out to any of the females that have been involved so far. It's such an amazing community, and they are all so friendly. We've a lot of us, speak even when more female races isn't running. We go do one-off races or just do, put together some random races. So the community is absolutely fantastic. So I'd say just reach out to any one of the females, and we're all here to kind of learn and enjoy it together. So we'll always try and help out when we can.
Well, Sarah Moore, it's always a pleasure to have you here in the commentary box. Thanks very much for joining us, and best of luck for the season ahead.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Josie, and I'm here to take you through a more female racers tour of Silverstone circuit in my new SimHound gloves. At Silverstone here we use the GT layout at ACC, which means instead of starting with the first corner being Abbey, the first corner is Copse. Start on the left, have a little bit of braking, and then try and get all the way out to the outside on this corner to carry the speed. Then the legendary corner combination of Maggots and Beckett's. It's a left, then a right, and then a left, and then another right, trying to keep your speed and line perfect through the whole complex of corners. You can gain and lose a lot of time here. Then you have an opportunity for a little breather down the Hanger Straight before you make your way to Stowe. It is a long right-hander, so you start on the left-hand side and prepare yourself. Try and pick a good turn-in spot so that you apex sufficiently late that you don't run wide on exit. A lot of cars go wide here. Then down through Vale into Club Corner. You've got to brake, get down into first gear most of the time. Take this very tight chicane, which then opens up through the second half of Club onto the Hamilton Straight. This is where the F1 cars usually start and finish the race nowadays. So this is their turn 1 into Abbey, which is a very fast right-hander. Then you make your way through Farm and into the large braking zone for Village. Then you've got to negotiate the Village and the Loop complex. So now we do a very tight left-hand corner before making our way through Aintree, which is a fast left-hander clipping the inside apex. And now we're going down the Wellington Straight, named for the Wellington bombers that were stationed here during the Second World War. The next corner complex is Brooklands, which is a fast left-hander where you need to keep in tight, and then Luffield, which is a tight and complex right-hander. There's a lot of time to be gained here by taking that inside cutting line before you make your exit, and down, back around, through Woodcut to finish the lap here at Silverstone. Thanks very much for watching. I've been Josie, and see you on track.
Welcome back. A very, very busy evening then as round 4 gets underway here with qualifying. It is currently the Pro-Ams and the AMs out on track just now, and Alice Horton stepping in for Sarah Fair at the top of the tables there. 2 minutes left to go in qualifying. 1:59.121, and Laura 2 seconds ahead of pretty much the entire field that's out there just now. That's quite a fast time there.
Yeah, actually it is, and it's great to see that they have trained well, I guess, on Silverstone, and they know the track by heart. And this is great that we have the team together here with Rudy Davis in the 139. And we also have seen a great introduction of the track, so that's pretty nice what we have seen from Josie Austin, and pretty well explained of where the tricky parts of the track are. And we see that the ladies have done everything right to just train over the hours and the weeks we have left. And we are now back with Lisa Louise Keane. She's also from Wild Wings Racing, where also Sarah Moore was racing in. And she also said it's quite nice if you have the off-season for some drivers, but for sim racers, actually there is no off-season. They always go pedal to the metal through it. But she's also quite doing well in her first stint, but I think the times will drop.
Yeah, for sure. So just watching them coming round the final corner then. And the great thing about Silverstone is it's one of the tracks where I actually feel a little bit competitive here. I could be at the back of that AM grid. That's not really saying much, is it? I could probably, on a very, very good day, I could probably do a 1:59.8 if I'm really, really pushing it. However, at the best of the rest, really, a great lap there for Elisa Indriani for Luna Nera in the 2:05, getting herself up there into the, 2:01, I think it is, or just outside there, 2:01.023 for Elisa in that 2:05 Luna Nera machine, sharing that car with Vojta Pavlik. And here comes Andy Lab in the 3:16 then. 3.7 seconds off of the pace just now. Looking to make a small improvement here, just about half a second up already is Andy Lab, but with the qualifying being so long, Laura, in terms of the lap, I mean, you're really only going to get about 2 or 3 laps in here, aren't you?
Yeah, as Silverstone is quite intense, normally we should be cracking quite with the next group quite shortly, and it is important that you make a clean lap, otherwise it's a bit of a problem. And we see that they're all piling up in a huge stack, and then you see they're on the track right now trying to get the timings. Oh, there was a little bit wide of runoff here from Andy Lab, but this is how it is. Normally you have not much time left, and then you just try to make no mistakes to really get a good spot. Because actually, I mean, you have lots of overtaking situations and positions here on the track, but at least it's better to have a clean and good start, not to worry about your position on the track out of the qualification. And yeah, let's look what Hedda Rangstedt she's doing. Turn 1 is quite high up in the ranks, but she's also pretty fast in her 102 car.
Yeah, I'm noticing that the number 2 of Cosmo Marsh, no lap set for them just now in the 17th place. Well, obviously that's absolutely irrelevant because they're in the number 2 car if they've not set a lap just now. But out of the AMs, then the only car to have set a lap time is Alice Horton in that 1:39 as Lisa Louise Keane goes across the line there, and we cut to Alugobi. Now, interestingly, championship-wise, this is where it really, really does heat up for the Pro-Ams just now, because obviously last time out, watching the Hedda Rangstedt machine currently in the lead with 63 points, just 1 point ahead of that 2:05 of Luna Nera. But with Luna Nera currently taking pole position in their class, they're the fastest car in their class right now. It all rests on this lap here for Hedda Rangstedt, coming round the final corner here at Silverstone, round through Woodcut and across the line. And Hedda Rangstedt, my goodness me, Laura, that is so close to go 8/100ths of a second behind Elitsa. This sets it up very, very nicely for the race.
Yeah, definitely, and this is a lot of improvement going on here. But yeah, we still are quite curious about the 159. But it's a good lap, so to be honest, and we see already Alu Gobi trying to push forward in the pro category, and also the silvers are already then out in Kraken. But yeah, it's not much time left for them to just really get going. But the timings are, and I guess they will be all again quite close together, and I'm so excited of what Alu Gobi is doing, because as you also spoke about what they normally do in quali, she was quite strong every time, and as we also have Sophia Ronman pretty much up in the lead and Mia Svensson also with them. I think it will be interesting. Also, Celine Witcher is quite good in the silver class, and also what Yvonne Hufela is doing today. Let's look for that. Saradov as well. I mean, we have 4 strong pro categories up there in the rank, but the silver class, I guess they will also try to make the best way out of it. And look at the track map of how they are all close together. You think that, I mean, the track is quite wide and pretty long for that sense, but yeah, they're just trying to herd to each other and follow each other and chase each other down to get the good timing. Yeah, it's all about slipstream, I guess.
Yeah, it certainly is. 6.5 minutes left to go in qualifying. It's a proper choo-choo train, as Laura Luft pointed out there, as we see Alu Gobi in the number 12. To give you some context on the Pro Championship and the Silver Championship, the pros currently, GTWR RHG Female Racing in the 177, they're out in front by just 7 points ahead of Griphax Engineering in the number 12 machine. They're on 64 points, and then RHG Esports in the 47. Those cars really have been swapping out the podiums, especially last time out at Imola, but it's a marked improvement for RHG Esports, who really only were able to get 4th position in the previous races and then finally got onto the podium last time out at Imola. But we'll keep our eye on that. I expect the times to come down very, very quickly just now. Alu Gobi sets the pace there, 157.567. That isn't a surprise. That's the sort of pace we were seeing in free practice. Sarah Dove into second place in the 177, just 0.4 of a second off of Alu Gobi there on that pole machine. And the 177, of course, is that GTWR RHG Female Racing number 1. So that is your current championship leader in second place. I don't need to explain why that is a significant thing for the championship, given that we are on round 4 of 6 here at Silverstone. Remember, next time out we go to Zolder, and then the final race is going to be at a publicly voted track, so you get to decide what race is going to be the final race for more female racers for season 4. And it's always a nice little twist, because the drivers and the teams can't do that much preparation for a track they've got no idea what it's going to be.
Yeah, normally they probably get their hidden folks to vote for them, especially if they have a favorite track they want to race on. But yeah, we have some in the calendar which we actually wanted as commentators, but probably I guess that they have a different idea of what they want to do, because you also need a track where you can see at least some people in front of you and not racing alone on the track. So that's why I'm pretty curious of what it will be in the end. But actually that's the spark in it. Yeah, you should not actually have the chance to sometimes train, because you just put into cold water and then you have to perform. And actually, as they have so much improved over the entire seasons, I think that they will actually smash in it, because we have really learned a lot. And it's, just see what Alu Gobi is doing.
Fuego! That is a beast of a lap from Alu Gobi there, in the number 12 car, 157.138. That is nearly a second, Laura, a second faster than Sarah Dove. That is outrageous. Sophia Onwin, that's a brilliant lap to pop her up to 3rd position there at 1.4 seconds. And again, seeing those time differences just proves what a ludicrous lap that was from Alu Gobi there.
Yeah, and also, as you see, Sophia Onwin in the silver class 1 already up in 3rd position. Even then, Mia Svensson and Yvonne Hufela, where we are right now, they have to get sometimes cracking. And it's actually, I thought it would be a bit more close together in the front pack, because most of the girls and also the other racers normally pick Silverstone, as this is in every calendar actually, to be honest. But it's also like a driver track, you really have to like it or not. But the car actually is pretty well prepared here for this track. It's smooth and even, it's not like super complicated. You have, of course, some weight on the car in some corners, but it's actually quite rolling through. So that's interesting to see that we have at least not so many close timings in the front. But yeah, still 2 minutes left. Maybe there are some improvements which we will see, but in the mid-pack field, they are close together.
Yeah, they certainly are. Talking of Silverstone, is it a track that gets the Laura Luft seal of approval? Do you like it?
Actually, I would probably have to try it in real life, because in sim racing I trained a bit on it in AC, to be honest, not ACC even. The problem is I don't have like a really proper opinion of this track, because there are some corners which I find not so interesting to myself, but maybe in real life they are actually quite flat out and you feel it more than on the sim, which I only trained on a static one, not even on a motion one. So probably I have to get the feeling in real life to be having a proper opinion about it. But definitely maybe next year. Let's see what's gonna happen.
Well, that's a great lap from Sarah Duff. Oh my goodness me, huge moment at Copse Corner there, but takes that to 1:57.5. So that brings it down to 0.3 of a second. And ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Laura Luft declares Silverstone bland and boring as we see Roberta Leska in the number 90. Wow, what a lap from Roberta Leska, 1:58.1. That is massive for the silver driver, for the silver team to get themselves up there into that position there, into third position for the number 90 of Team Racing Point Women. Teamed up, of course, with Chiara Camarino, and here we're seeing Martin Edwards for the 137 Team Cake Racing Sim Tools Esports. 9/10 up is enough to get them into the mid-pack just now. But Laura, I mean, final minute of qualifying, and we're seeing some quite big shocks in terms of the silvers today.
Yeah, they are pretty strong in general, and also Ava de Andrade and Sarah Moore, she's also quite well familiar with the track. They are pretty fast still, and hopefully they have some more timings, and also Peter Bojenska. They're normally quite good in that sense. Also Althea Book in number 10, and we have with Celine Witcher right now. They are really, really strong. Some of them are already in the pit lane, but we are with Sarah Moore right now, just trying to see if she can improve the lap timing. Also quite now having more time, as she said, for sim racing, unfortunately. Then maybe there's a chance to pump it up. And Sophia Onren in the 5th position. I think they're pretty improving, and as we also see, I mean, look at the 139. I mean, the pro category and the M category already said sometimes they have even to switch it to silver, so shake it around a bit. But yeah, on this fantastic track, to be honest, I didn't say boring, but yeah, no, this is really, really nice to see that we have this kind of improvements across the classes. But yeah. Unexpectedly in the front, not so clear as it was. What I thought maybe it would be a bit closer together, but that will be interesting for the race.
Yeah, it absolutely will be. Of course, the way that this is all going to pan out is going to be absolutely amazing, because this uses the layout where the start-finish line is obviously. Turn 1 is Copse Corner, so that is what's the essentially the traditional layout of the track. The new one starts on the Hamilton Straight, with Turn 1 being Abbey, but having Copse Corner as the first corner here, Laura, I mean, it's all really, really going to depend on how clean you can keep it going into that first corner.
Yeah, and as we have seen in Imola, it worked pretty well for all the drivers. So I think that Megat's Beckett's then is the way everybody should roll through it, because otherwise it will be a bit tight with all the cars lining up side by side. But yeah, I think that we can see some overtaking situations then on the Hunger Straight and into Stove. Hopefully, then they will have a good run down there. But yeah, I think it's a nice flow of the track in the first section, and I think it will be a pretty clean start here as well.
Yeah, certainly. So qualifying done and dusted. Lou Gobi in pole position then. A 157.138 from Saradov in second place there. Just 0.3 of a second behind your pole sitter. Then Roberto Lesca in the number 90 in third position there. A second behind with a 158.1. As we see Mia Svensson currently in P4. Can they improve? No, they cannot, going across the line there. And that's a very cool looking photographer there in pit lane. Obviously, he's just about as excited as we are, Laura, to get this race going.
Definitely we are. Actually, it's, I guess, pretty much of your favorite track, as you already said, that you will be competitive. So this is still on our plate. And I also got asked by Oscar last time I should race. So, well, let's see that. We can maybe do a commentator round, commentating of how we drive around it.
Let's do it. There we go, right there. Let's do the final round, and we'll get Mike Yao and Mike Hamlet to do the commentary for that. Yeah, I think that sounds fair.
Yeah, I think it's good. And now they're completely shocked, I guess, but that would be what we push them out. They just have to swim in cold water like we do, so let's do that.
Oh, you got to love it. Right, so that's confirmed for the final round then. Wait, it all depends then what the final round is going to be, but we digress. Let's turn our attention back to the race tonight, and that lap from Lou Gobi. That is an absolute cannonball across the bow of the entire field to pull out a 157.1. Not only does that put him in a very good position for the championship, Laura, trying to catch up to that GTWR R8G female racing team, who are just 7 points ahead of them. But I mean, it's really given them first blood, hasn't it?
Yeah, actually, as you can see, it's really tight in this class, in the pro class. Still, we have some chances to have a shakedown, to be honest, because they give each other's back to back, and we also kick through the rest of the field. They are a bit further behind, but still position 3 is also up 4 points. And if we swap to the Pro-Am category, I mean turn 1, they are also close together with Luna Nira, as you can see in Wild Things Racing, a bit far behind with 45 before Hito Racing, but still there. Position 1 and 2 is not clear, 3 and 4 not, and then we see also 5 and 6 could still be in the game. So that's actually nice that we have not today anything which is kind of clear. But what we can definitely say is that in the silver class, 75 points ahead of 42. With it, it stays in the family, so to be honest. But racing team number 2 versus Emerald and number 3 from GTWR RAG. I mean, they are all in the first top 3, and then we have turn 1, which is also having a huge fan base in the pack, still in the sandwich, kind of close, with the same points with the number 5 car, or number 78, so to say, but number 5 of the team, which is actually kind of filling up the silver class before Wild Things Racing on the 6th place. So this is actually how the silver class is looking, very competitive, as it's also the biggest one. And then we jump to the AM class, which is also, not still decided yet, but Team Riot is really good up in front of Team Angel. So that's why it's really nice to have maybe some more joining for the M category. So this is a shootout to everyone who hasn't started yet. Just try to do that, because even the M category is quite competitive, as we can see, and they're giving each other the back-to-back wins and 2nd and 3rd places. So just, if you haven't done it yet, just look out for the next season where you can probably then join, because silver class is quite packed, but we need some more in the other ones to make it a bit more spicy as well there.
Yeah, we certainly do. So there we go. Interestingly, as if you need a little bit more pepper, a little bit more spice to heat things up tonight, both the Pro and the Pro-Am classes, the 2nd place car is ahead of the 1st place car in qualifying. So let's go through the list then. Pole position then is the number 12 alongside Sarah Dove into round 4 of the championship. Alongside them is Roberta Leska and Mia Svensson on 3rd and 4th place. Row 3 is going to be Sophia Ronwin and Esmeralda van der Nald, with row 4 is going to be Celine Witcher and Alice Horton alongside, it's going to be Yvonne Hooflar and Celine Witcher. It's then Alice Horton and Pelletier in the row 5 in 9th and 10th position. Jessica Pelletier, that is. 11th and 12th is going to be Altea Book alongside Avada Andrade, if I can even speak properly tonight, that'd be good. Row 7 is going to be Natalie Lee and Laura Valenza. 13th and 14th, 15th and 16th is Sarah Moore, who we spoke to earlier on, alongside Maren Edwards. Row 9 is going to be Beata Bochenska in the 17th position car. In 18th is going to be Elitsa Indriani, Hedda Rangsetter in 19th position, Lisa Louise Keane in 20th position, Cosmo Marsh in 21st, Maria Krichkova in 22nd, 23rd is Andy Lab, and at the back alongside Andy is going to be Charlotte Robertson on row 12. And there was a brief pause there as I was pronouncing Beata's name there, because I did remember that last week we got told how to pronounce that, Beata Behensker, so yeah, apologies again for butchering that. But Beata actually did reach out to me earlier on during the week, and it was fascinating, Laura, to hear a little bit about her and a little bit about her story, because she is a little bit older than your traditional racers, and up until March hadn't actually been on a sim. So from here until then, this is the development that she's shown, and already in the silver class so fast. That is an amazing, amazing effort.
Yeah, and it's nice that it doesn't really depend on when you start, how you start. You actually can and should start. That's the most important thing. And that you give each other a chance to race together and compete, and also getting better. This is what they all actually wanted, and getting the help out there. And also, yeah, we see that the chat is also rolling with this. So yeah, you have also quite now seen that we are kind of keen at so many ladies, and also, yeah, males are joining the mixed teams, or we have still these super duper female teams going together wild. And look at this great field we have here. So many drivers at least joining this round here. We actually have 24 on the grid, so this is really nice that so many trying to beat Silverstone. And look at the track map. Beautiful.
It is a wonderful track, one that I've visited quite a few times actually. I was there 2 weeks ago for one of the real life club racing exhibitions that they had on down there, Motorsport Days Live, and actually raced here 3 years ago in the C1 24-hour endurance race, and a very fast flowing track, and one that you can't actually understand when you're doing the heady heights of 90 miles an hour in a Citroen C1. Much better in one of these beautiful multi-million pound GT3 machines. But also having a look at the YouTube chat, a very good evening to everyone that is out there just now. And Laura, I mean, we were joking about some bad advice for the drivers. For me, it's all about turn one. You've got to win it on turn one, don't you?
Of course. No, we still have some time because what you maybe haven't noticed, I mean, it's not like a super long endurance race. We still have 3 stints of 20 minutes, so it's actually a race in the race again. So that's why everybody tries to win the first corner, but we also should reckon that we have other drivers who also want to do the second stint. Normally the slowest driver has to do the first one, and the second one, the third one, and the second in between is the one who normally pushes really hard for that. But actually that's why it's so competitive, because you can have no break in between, as you are really racing full-time 20 minutes as a sprint race in the 60-minute race. So, and yeah, I'm hoping that still the first one is like a rundown to turn one, which is should not be like the problem, I will say. But as you can lead us now through the race, then to the race start, which will be really interesting, as you have the track experience, which I don't in real life, so that's actually quite good to see. Although the Ferrari is a bit stronger here, of course. We all have the same spec car, the Evo 1, which was taken by all the ladies. So there is no advantage, at least what the car is doing. It's all the same, just the setup wise. But as we have seen, it's all about the reaction time when you just floor it.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and momentum it's almost a bit of a mean word that I use in a lot of the commentary broadcasts, but this is probably one of the biggest tracks where momentum is so important. We've seen it so many times, Laura, where cars will be in maybe a group of 2, 3, 4 of them fighting out for position. And if one car goes to make a move and botches it up and then loses time, suddenly they've been overtaken by not just one, but usually about 3 or 4 cars behind them. So they have to keep the momentum up, they have to keep the speed up, and they have to keep the pace up. That is what is so important here. Thankfully, lots and lots of wide runoff area here at Silverstone. A lot of grass, a lot of gravel, a lot of escape roads to be used, and they will be used over the course of the evening. What will not be unlikely to see, unfortunately, is the likelihood of contact. We don't want to see it, but given how tough these ladies have been fighting it out, I mean, it's been absolutely relentless. But contact is always going to be an inevitability at this track here, because the apexes are very, very well defined. There are really only, one entry point into a corner and one exit point out into a corner. And we saw it this year in real life in the Formula One, where drivers are going to feel entitled to stick their nose in and maybe try and make a move that possibly in hindsight they're going to wish that they didn't. But that is purely speculation. As Laura pointed out, we have 3 20-minute stints. These drivers will be taking the first stint, then they'll be swapping over to their teammate, who is either male or female, and then it will be swapping back to the female drivers for the final 20-minute stint. But we're just coming through the new part of the circuit, then through into the loop, and then down in towards Aintree here. A very, very confusing corner, the loop, because you always end up taking way more speed than you think you should be into it, and you always end up braking way later, which is usually actually a good thing. Your brain can't quite make sense of it, but actually braking and turning later gives you a much better exit down this long Wellington straight. This is the tail end of the circuit, really, on the run down towards Brooklands and Luffield. The final couple of corners here, Laura, as we get ready to go racing for round 4 of season 4 of More Female Racers. Laura, I think I'm going to hand things over to you to take us over the line here and get things underway.
All right, then I do the start. We have everybody lining up in their position as they should be, closing the gaps in between so that you don't miss when the first one is hitting to the actual racing line, which is coming then quite shortly. And then we have the start for the round in Silverstone, which is pretty interesting, and we hope that they will all make it into turn 1. So let's see. It's really short, as you can also imagine on the track map. There you can see that we have closely then our kind of flag waving already then, and the starting will be shortly for this race. And yeah, everybody is just trying to wait for it. And now we have actually the green light getting on. Everybody's side by side going into turn 1, and as you said, the track is really wide.
Contact!
One run off in the first one, but the rest is fine. Alugobi is the only one who just got a notch maybe from
that
the side,
was absolutely huge. That was Alu Gobi, sorry Laura, but that was Sarah Dove. That was contact. Now what actually happened, I caught it out the corner of my eye there. Alu Gobi was in the lead and the car just drifted out slightly into the front nose of Sarah Dove. I don't know if that's going to be any punishment whatsoever, because from what I saw from that very remote angle there, it looked like that car just drifted into the front nose, and Sarah Dove was kind of caught out unawares with that. But that is huge for the championship.
Yeah, I think that we actually have live stewards that they will look at this directly and just try to see what happened here. But all of a sudden, the rest was quite a fine. But you see that still here we have some overtaking maneuvers in the mid-pack field, but actually that was the only heavy contact we saw in turn 1. But it was so weird because it was full speed, which is actually quite not what we normally expect. And Sophia Onwunsch is also going a bit wide, and this is like, ooh, then we have a big spin in over there. We have some of the contacts, and now we have yellow flag as well over the track. So this is kind of it piles up, as you can see on the track map. This is what you mentioned. If you just be too competitive in one of the corners and go, you can't do that, really. that's now not what
Yeah.
we want to see, because I think she's completely under stress right now in this situation, because normally that's a really unsafe drive over here and getting wide again. I think that this is like super duper pressure right now, but this is where we actually don't want to see. And in the back again, there are some cars going wide. Natalie as well, she's got it. So this is where the pressure comes high. Aye.
That's horrible to say, and the thing is that normally, you know me, I'm the first one to absolutely rail in on that sort of behaviour, but seeing that, and everybody that's out there, hand on heart, you cannot say that you've not had a moment like that where the red mist descends and you're just so stressed trying to get yourself back on track. Obviously, whatever punishments happen from stewards will come down. Oh, and Sophia Orman sends spinning back on the track, and this is my biggest fear here, Laura, is that twice now we saw Mia Svensson going hurtled sideways onto the track, got recovered again, and really trying way too hard there. But Sophia Ronwin, I'm wondering if there was contact there or whether or not that was an unforced error, and that is gutting to see for Sophie, because such a great start, such a great qualifying, and now that means that we've got Sarah Duff, but also Roberta Leska up into second place. That is an amazing outcome right now for Roberta Leska. But Alu Gobi, our current championship contender, currently down in what's that 20th position right now. That is gutting to see, and that has huge championship implications.
Yeah, I can also definitely imagine how she feels under, not under her helmet, but in her seat, to be honest. But the thing is, you have to keep your head together, and that's why it's so important if your companion is with you in the team chat. Normally that's where you have the chance to discuss and get yourself a bit cool off areas, which we actually should see in the race again, because actually the track is pretty wide. There normally can be super duper on this straight 3 and 4 cars side by side, but you still have to decide which one is the first one entering the corner. But yeah, kind of not what we expected to see in the middle of the race. Quite when we went down there, they're still all quite good together, but in the race start, we thought maybe that's a bit more not of a hectic situation. But yeah, the teammates, even though might have not having a good point if they just do the contact here. But let's see what Ali Gobi is doing. Back now into 18th place, and they're all by each other, I mean side by side, and then also trying to push each other off the track a bit. But hopefully that goes better for Ali Gobi, just now diving in there. No, that was quite neat, and then they lost it. This is again a tricky corner, sometimes it can be. The first one, as you mentioned, and yeah, that's what we saw right now with Cops.
Oh my goodness me. And yeah, that's the 139 of Alice Horton. I've got to be honest, I don't understand that. This is where soapbox is getting brought out there from. Alice Horton there. I don't understand why you would just drive into another car. I get that you're trying to recover and pull the car around, unless it was unsighted. But how can I don't understand how that's actually possible. Either way, I mean, you've got to say amazing for Alu Gobi that have the presence of mind to avoid that car sitting in there. The other thing as well is that some of these drivers on single screens might not have the same field of view as someone in VR or triple screen, so it is perfectly plausible that might that might be perfectly plausible for Alice if she couldn't see that car. Meanwhile, more cars going off. I'll tell you what, I'm going to make a prediction right now. Alu Gobi is still going to get a podium out of this race. Absolutely 100%. That team is going to be back on the podium in no time at all, because the way that Grippax Engineering in that number 12 is scything through the field at a rate of knots here, Laura. This is an impressive recovery drive right now.
Yeah, definitely, and we know that Alu can do this, so this is actually not the first time where she has to sometimes catch up some of the places, and she has a cool kind of a temper that she can say, okay, well, I'm just pissed, but now I just get my head together and actually push it on the track. So that's what we definitely see from her driving. This is really, really nice. But yeah, so actually it's from Imola, I don't know what happened in these 2 weeks, actually, to be honest, because they were so clean there, and it reminds me a bit of Spa in some areas, but yeah, also where Cosmo Marsh is under pressure in the place number 18, 17, 18, they can't decide. Hopefully they make it up there to the first corner. But it's interesting to see why they have such a pressure right now, or this aggressiveness now in Silverstone, which is actually a track where you don't need it. You have still time to overtake. But let's see if that's going a bit easy in the second stint. But it shakes it up. That's what we actually wanted to have. It has to be a bit more cleaner in some ways, that you don't dive in and have an unsafe rejoin. But I guess they will know from the replays when they watch it. That's a clear thing. And also, if we have some stewards' decisions coming in, then this should be clear.
Goodness me, I can't even imagine what the penalties are going to be like at this early stage in the race. I mean, we were all excited thinking, turn one's relatively clean. It's really good for lap one. And well, there we go. Oh, now, call me psychic, call me a future seer or whatever, but there you go, lap one, the cars involving the leaders, the 12 and the 177, no further action, and that must have been the case then. So what I saw out the corner of my eye was Lou Gobi's car just drifting over through understeer, obviously colder tyres into turn one, and drifting over to the front of that car of Sarah Dove. Sarah Dove had absolutely nothing she could do in that incident there. So an accident of a Lou Gobi's making is what the stewards are implying on that one. That might be pushing it a little bit far, but certainly a turn one incident. But I get the feeling that one person who's not going to escape the steward's wrath is going to be poor Mia Svensson in that number 3 machine down in 23rd place for Intruder Racing Team, because that was quite a few incidents in a short space of time. We've got a yellow flag. That is number 18 of Jessica Pelletier, who was in 6th position. Looks like it's just a spin, gets going again. But Laura, again, I mean, you said there you don't understand why there's so much aggression at such an early stage of the race. I don't understand it either, and it's not just aggression; it's almost malice.
Yeah, I don't know why they maybe lost it in some way, but maybe get a replay of the start, which is actually quite interesting to see from. Yeah, thanks so much for. Okay, they just had of a little contact there, so that was just not one. Well, okay. I'm not sitting in the steward office, but that was a contact which we have seen, and then you can't just hold it back. But if that's the decision, that's a decision. Of course, I will not say anything against it. But that's what you also said. Replay, look at this from that kind of angle. Slight push.
Yeah. So what actually happened there is that Lou Gobi, there was a slight twitch, and she briefly stamped on the brakes to try and even that car up, and ended up, as we've got a car facing sideways into the wall there, that is the 197, the 997, that's Beta. Is it? Oh no, sorry, it's the 87. I knew it was ending in the 7, but that is Laura Valenta for GTWR RHG Female Racing in that one. That's the silver class machine that has a bit of an issue there. 5-second penalty for the number 18 car. That's the Rookie Monsters of Jessica Pelletier for an incident involving turn 1 Magnum Celine Witcher. Avoidable contact. So I get the feeling this is the start of very, very many penalties here, Laura.
Yeah, and we also see 5 seconds already up there for her, and there will be some more coming, and also track limits. Some are going wide quite often, but hopefully the pit stops are not causing then some more SG30 or what we have then here. But let's see how this will evolve, because actually right now this is the critical part, that your co-driver is bringing you either way up in the mood, that you're not just like swearing all the time when you're sitting in a sim, or that they really say, okay, keep your head down and try to be clean, because it doesn't help if you just go back completely wild on track, because either way you get a penalty or you just hit someone and then you ruin everybody's races. So this is why this is actually critical to bring them as teams together. And let's look at the replay again from the first starting position. Yeah, it's also kind of ghosting, as we would say in iRacing, but from that side it is a bit tricky, as if you get a slight push and you maybe don't see it. That's what you also said. It's about your vision on the track, and I definitely can say it really depends on what you have at home as your simulation kind of equipment, but that's not an excuse, to be honest. I also had to learn it hard way with a single screen, especially in other sims, which is horrible. But you still have a person who is telling you, look out, watch to the right, watch to the left, you have your spotters, and it's actually clear that you have to have a good vision, and your self-positioning on track is important. But it's also what we have to say, some are new to maybe the track. They are new to the car, definitely, because last season we had a different one, the Lamborghini. So you have to still find your way through that. And if your setup is not as what you maybe are comfortable with, this keeps you a bit in a kind of unsecure situation. You think, oh, maybe I should push, but I don't want to overdo it. Of course, you are under pressure as we are live streaming. Everybody's watching. This is also the thing. And last time it worked pretty well, but maybe here still some struggle with their setup. Maybe they are not prepared that well. That could also be. But then it's critical that your co-driver is just helping you through that. And that's what we have seen with some teams. They're pretty good together, and that's why they stick also several years together. This is where you have a good kind of sense what's needed now to bring this race home.
Yeah, for sure. Just saying, Sarah Moore getting a 5-second penalty as well. Cars 26 and 137. That's Wild Things Racing Epics.gg of Sarah Moore and Denise Pope involved in an incident with the 137 of Team Cake Racing Sim Tools Esports. Maren Edwards, avoidable contact, and that is a 5-second penalty. And we are watching this battle for 6th, 7th and 8th position. Ava de Andrade ahead of Altea Book and Sophie Ronwin. To bring up to speed for those of you who have not seen more female racers so far, a very warm welcome. As Laura alluded to, this is our wonderful series that we run here at the SimGrid, designed to do our bit to try and help foster new female talent into sim racing and existing female talent into a safe, controlled environment where they can compete at a fantastic level. Basically all skill levels are catered for, from pro all the way down to your brand new fresh leafy eared beginner in the AM class as well. So you've got pro, silver, pro am and the AMs as well, as we see Sophie Ronwin thinking about a move up the inside of Altea Book, can't quite get it done. This is down through the final corner here in towards Luffield, then round the right hander in towards Woodcut as well, and I think that Altea Book still has the measure of Sophie Ronwin, and the more that those two fight, the more that Ava de Andrade is trying to stretch away here. But after a poor run out of Woodcut, it's all on the pressure of the back of that car there, that number 29 Mulsa Racing Team Machine for Maya Esports here. But 45 minutes left to go in the race. We cut to another replay here, again into Cop's Corner here, and in fact no, excuse me, this is through Abby then, and that is the number 3. Now see, for me, I can absolutely understand that. By this point, this is Mia Svensson, so this is what led to that absolute rage. And for me, that is really bad from that car passing her on the left-hand side there. A very overly aggressive attack there, and then again tries to go into the corner there. I'm wondering actually that wasn't the same car, but again just contact left, right, and centre. Oh, and Ronwin sends it up the inside of Altea Book there, and it looks like gets the job done. Laura, that's a move and a half from Sophie Ronwin.
Yeah, but actually what we also have to say, this trio is really making a good lap pace, and also what we can definitely say, I mean, Sophia, she is pretty strong in her drive. She was standing in 5th position, now she's back to 8th, that what we had in the struggle in the first place. But what we definitely have to mention is that also Ava de Andrade came from 12th place, now is in 6th, and also what we see Hedda Rangsteder, she is now in 9th place. She made up 10 places. I mean, this is what you see when you're constant in your driving. You have the same lap time. You try to sneak through the kind of problems we see in the midfield, but then you have a good position where you can be on track. And also Altea Book, I mean, she made up 2 places right here as well, and Alu Gobi is back in 10th position. So this is where we have seen that they are really strong in trying to make their way through, and yeah, great to see that they are now the 3 of them together having really fun out track.
Yeah, it really is, and darts to one side, then the other. Sophia Ronwin then, absolute aggression right now, gets a stunning drive off of Luffield, off of Woodkit, tries to think about it outside of Cops, has to back off, but absolutely has the measure of Arif De Andrade for that 29 machine. They're side by side as they go through. Maggots and Beckett's again, has to back out of it and pull that car back in through the chapel curve, loses it. Sophia Ronwin loses it, over pushing the car herself, and that is how you do it. That's how easy it is to unsettle the car, and that is going to be position after position loss for Sophia Ronwin. The pressure mounts, the recovery drive back on, she'll still be able to catch up to the back of them probably in about 5-10 laps time, but that is a huge blow to Sophia Ronwin. Drops behind Hedda Rangsetter and Olu Gobi now on that incredible recovery drive up into P9.
Yeah, but you have seen she tried to at least make space on track, braking early, so she's not really diving into her teammate as well. So this is where she tries now to cool down the tires again and is focused to catch up. And this is what also is important, that from this mistake you do yourself, you don't be like completely stressed out for the next 3 laps, so to say, but you just keep your head together. And now she's pushing again. You see that this is really great that they just pick it up at that point and just forget about it, what was 2 laps or 2 corners behind them. And now you can see she's catching up again to Alu Gobi, which is actually then thankful for that, getting some more points and getting up the rank. But great that we have the silver class together with also the Prem category racing together, which is really nice to see that actually the top, let's say 15, are pretty all good position on track and also great in terms of their lap times.
Yep, 2 minutes left to go. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you, Laura. I think that's a very, very valid point. It was just a way to point out, got asked in the YouTube chat, when's pit window open? It opens in 1 minute 40, so it opens at 40 minutes to go, and then it'll open again at 20 minutes. There's no, no hard and fast rule for it, but Maren Edwards into the final corner there. Of course, there's no actual hard and fast pit window. It's just that's the suggested timings, with it obviously being a 60-minute race, 3 equal stints, and split over 20 minutes apiece. Of course, if you want to come in a lap early or a lap later, that's completely up to you. Maren Edwards, though, still deciding to stay out ahead of Lisa Louise Keane. What really surprised me is how quickly Sophia Ronwin actually got onto the back of Alu Gobi, but it's now completely dropped off from the back of that car as well. And if I'm completely honest, I think that Sophia has really, really pushed that car, I think, a little bit more than it actually needed to be pushed right now. Because again, with how far that car is dropping back pace-wise, it makes it very difficult for the recovery drive. I mean, I get that she's obviously very frustrated with what happens, but yeah, it's, you've just got to try and calm it down a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, but she's trying to catch up as well. And also what I definitely have to mention is that's what we hadn't seen, because it was just so sneaking through. Celine Witcher, she is now back in 4th position, because Esmeralda van der Nalt, she's now in 3rd place. This is kind of sometimes the quiet ones, right? They just sneak through. You don't see them doing funny things on track, but then they actually make it because they just roll through. And she's now in 3rd position in the silver class with the number 15 car. This is really, really good to see, and they are pretty great from as well from Imola coming into this season here with Silverstone. So this is quite impressive. And also let's see what the drivers now, which have swapped, like with Giorgio Simonini, are doing. Back in the 15th position for RAG Esports 150 car, now getting wild. And also we have Leo Keane in the car, and Indriani as well in the 205 machine. So this is really nice to see that they are getting it on. And then, yeah, we see some more penalties coming in, unfortunately, David.
Yeah, that's the number 3, predictably, of Mia Svensson getting a drive-through penalty for avoidable contact in 2 separate cars there. You kind of saw that one coming, unfortunately. It's a bad day going from bad to worse, as we see Giorgio Simonini then in the number 150 car taken to the wheel, taken over from Yvonne Huffelaar. And 40 minutes now left to go in the race here, Laura. So now we get to kind of pick apart the bones of this one, because the other drivers are in the car, the second drivers are in the car. And weirdly, we don't usually see much happening from the other drivers. It's usually when the starting drivers get back in, that's when we see the positions changing.
Yeah, I pretty much think that now we maybe do see some changes because some of them are quite close together, but let's see of how they can push or how they manage it through the race and what the strategy actually is quite in that sense. If they do a longer one and then maybe trying to get the female lady back in there in a good position on track that you don't have actually so much traffic. And also, as we see nice in the split screen, Saradov, she's leading race now, coming in for her pit stop in the 177 car. And actually, the teams are quite nice prepared. That's what we can definitely say. They are also leading everywhere in the silver class and in the pro class as well. So that's why let's see how they can improve now in the second stint where they're trying to catch up some places.
Yeah, that's the drive-through for Mia Svensson that we mentioned there. But I'm also noticing, am I seeing that right? Harry Phillips back behind the wheel of the number 12, taking over from Alu Gobi, and yet, position 8. That is unbelievable driving from Alu Gobi to go from the back of the pack all the way up to P8. I'm saying again right now, that car absolutely will take a podium position today.
Yeah, definitely, and that's what we that's. I mean, this is a good team. That's what we can definitely say because from the last time, the chemistry is also working well, and we have seen that Alu just completely forgot about it, what happened in turn 1, and just kept going. That's what we can say, and this is where you're trying to sometimes surprise others in the race because they completely are within their own kind of fights between 2 or 3 positions, and then you just sneak through it and be left alone, and then you can make up positions, and this is what happened here. Pretty nice to see the recovery drive, and we are back with your favorite livery, I would say, right, with Ridley and Lloyd Davis from Team Cake with 139, which is actually leading the M class at the moment.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous livery. I love that. It makes me in the mood for some fairy cakes. I might get you to cover me for a minute. We'll go and raid the kitchen cupboard in a minute. But in the meantime, asked on YouTube chat there, how does the driver change work? It's obviously not a physical change, so do they just switch in the pitch? Yeah. So the way that Assetto Corsa Competizione works in endurance races is that you can enter a team, and that your teammate would then join the server after you've joined, and then you can request your teammate to go in the car, and Ridley and Lloyd Davis clips a bit of the curb there. Excuse me while I get massively distracted. Cops, that is save of the century right there from the Team Cake driver under huge pressure from the 205 behind him of Luna Nera. But yeah, so that's exactly what happens. They sign up as a team, and the in-game menu allows you to request your co-driver to take over. You come into the pit lane, you then jump out the car, your teammate jumps in the car in the software, and job done. Have a look at this, because the 205 of Wojciech Pawlicek takes it like candy from a baby from Ridley Lloyd Davis. So that is a great move up for position for the 205. We're back with Mia Svensson in the number 3, and that car looking decidedly awkward as Mia heads round, and overtaken there from Yannick Kalka in the Hitold Racing machine. Just also having a look here as well, the 150 of Giorgio Simonini back into second place there, as the 177 GTWR RHG Female Academy of Sarah Dovna Andrea Capoccia takes back into the lead. Another drive-through penalty. Now this is a bit of a spicy one. This is for Alice Horton in the Team Cake Angel Cake. It's now Ridley Lloyd Davis behind the wheel of that one. That's for lap 1. Are we still on lap 1? Goodness me. Drive-through penalty to car 139 for avoidable contact. If we're only on lap 1, this is going to be a very long night.
Yeah, and I hope that they will actually finish and not having all the green table discussions in the end, that they just swap then afterwards and the entire entry list is shaken, or the results are shaken up. But yeah, this is why it takes so long, because if there are some tiny little incidents, which are actually then quite big ones, if there are huge mistakes, but then, yeah, this is better to just double check. Otherwise, if you have like this kind of massive penalty, which is a drive-through is spoken out, then you have to really make sure that it's the way. So that's why it's good that we have some stewards stewards checking what the footage is about. But I hope that and that was what we saw, that the rest, I mean, look at the field, the 107.7, I mean, they are in the first place. They have a good kind of track position now, chasing down everyone. Behind them, there is nobody coming. But then, I mean, Giorgio Simonini is far behind. We have 20 seconds already between them as a gap. But the rest is just kind of good together. So they have to make it really, really smart in terms of when they come in, so that they have a good maybe undercut also to other teams which they are chasing. Because as you see, I mean, we have 2 seconds, 1 second, or sometimes 0.8 seconds between the cars. You can't make a single mistake, because it's still, as we also said in the beginning, it's a race in the race. So they have to make really it clear that they just get it through. And yeah, look at what Richard Pixley is doing in position number 14. He is 6.395 seconds behind and chasing McCoffin.
Yeah, Tony McCoffin then in the number 18 Rookie Monsters machine, taking over from Jessica Pelletier. 32 minutes left to go in this race then, round 4 of more female racers here on the SimGrid, the 4th season, if you can believe it. I certainly can. And we have to give a shout out to somebody that we've not heard from since last season. Oh my goodness me, that was Harry Phillips in the number 12, ahead of Sebastian Handler, having a huge moment coming through. In fact, that was through Maggots and Beckett's that he had that monstrous moment there. And the 29 then of Sebastian Handler takes that position up from the number 12, and that was the hard charging Harry Phillips that catch back up to the tail end of Sebastian Handler there. And well, that was a very, very scary moment, but again, a great catch. But it shows you, Laura, how easy it is for these cars to overcorrect, oversteer, and snap you off in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, it really depends on how you take the curbs, because some sausage curbs are really, really high and it's completely unstable to the car. But in the front, I mean, actually, when we look at the cars in general, they have a good setup from what we see, because they are not completely sliding all over the place. But if you just hit it with 1 centimeter in the wrong way, then the Ferrari doesn't take it so easy. But that's what we see, that some struggle, which is interesting. Yeah, I guess that at least this was maybe also then the point where you are completely maybe distracted for something in the chat. And also if you just try to swap it, because in ACC that's also kind of fiddling around with setting tire pressures up and everything. If you have to change the drivers, it's not like in other sims where your teammate can click everything for you and just come into the pits and that's it. You have to do it yourself. So that's why sometimes you're fiddling around on the steering wheel as well. That can be distracting. So that's why normally we see from them they would not run that wide on these curbs, because they just completely unstable the cars. But Josie Austin is flying high as well in her cakey, I have to say it, probably is the wrong word in English, but it's matching for my sense at least. Yeah, running it really perfectly well in her cake car.
Yeah, that is some prime Battenberg is what we've got going on with Josie Austin today. I'm not sure what the German is for Battenberg, that kind of window cake that you get, but that is exactly what that thing looks like coming down the Wellington straight there, doing a very, very good job heading through into Brooklyn. She's got Pixley just ahead of her in the number 7 car, Richard Pixley, and going to be making short, sweet work of that one. But with half an hour left to go in the race, it's looking very, very good right now for Andrea Capoccia in the 177 with teammate obviously in that GTWR RHG female racing machine of Sarah Dove. And this is a difficult thing, Laura, isn't it? Because we don't give them a lot of attention when they're out in front, because they're so far out in front. But really, this is pivotal for the championship, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But for them, it looks like a walk in the park. But actually, you have to be super concentrated to put it together. Also, when you have the blue flags being waved, some drivers maybe are not really checking that already they really lapped. So that's why it's critical that they have to be really, really cautious about that, even overtaking cars around that. Yeah, and also we get some warnings already. So this is not always like directly a penalty, but you get warnings, especially now for car number 26. But yeah, this is critical that you just dive through the field quite easily than hopefully even in the front. And this makes it also, I mean, some drivers say it's easier when you lead with a comfortable gap between the second place, because then you can at least do tiny mistakes if you need them to. But otherwise, it's also like having the concentration up that you don't do big ones, because that will cost you a lot. But yeah, that's what we definitely can say, that this team is well prepared for everything, and they will crack it in the championship probably. But don't jinx it. That's what my job does.
I'm touching every bit of the desk I possibly can now, Laura. But no, that's a great point on that thing about pressure and having space to yourself. And from personal experience, it's a difficult one. I don't find myself preferring one or the other. I like being around other cars. I like jostling for position, but that all changes at night as we see Yannick Kalka getting an excellent run on Cosmo Marsh, then side by side down the Wellington Straight. Then the Realish Racing car has to yield the position to the Hitold Racing of Yannick Kalka there. Great move up the inside, and that puts the number 11 car up a position for Charlotte Robertson. Charlotte at the back of the grid, getting up to P19, so that's a brilliant run that we've not really spoken about so far. Meanwhile, Richard Pixley is trying to fend off the advances of Josie Austin, and Josie Austin spins it again. The second car that we've seen in quick succession doing it at that exact corner into the gravel. The wheels are spinning. She's trying to get back onto the track there, but my goodness me, we see how easy it is to lose that car through Maggots and Beckett, and that drops Josie Austin all the way down, Laura, to 20th position. And any recovery drive, any great points that Team Cake Racing Sim Tools Esports were going to be taken from today are well and truly out of the window.
Yeah, unfortunately, and this is where the only let's say tricky part of the track is where you have some load balance on the car, but then you should not push it too early on the gas. But then actually she had a good way of waiting when she can actually get back on track. This is what I really liked. She just tried to be on the side, not crossing the lines, not making weird things. This was really a good recovery on that sense, to be smooth and easy out of the gravel and not spinning around, because the tires are anyway then a bit too hot. And that was nice to see that. But probably now I think she will come back, at least trying to get some more places up if she can, try to get that done for the next swap. But yeah, it can be tricky if you then try to push in exactly these combinations of corners where you have this load on the car. And what actually we definitely have to say that also the 139 has to take the drive through quite the next time. But look at the front, we have Stefan Griffith now in the 4th place.
Yep, great job for Stefan in that 15, although under huge pressure from that number 66 of Mark Lewis, sharing that car with Altea Book. We've got a penalty there, instant between cars 316 and the 14. The 316 is the Strix Racing machine of Andy Lab, and the 14 is Team Cake Runeta Racing of Maria Krichkova, and it is a 10-second time penalty for the 316 for ignoring a yellow flag there. So a 10-second time penalty to be served by the 316 Strix Racing. Currently Daniel Austin's behind the wheel of that one. Back to the action though, just now it's GTWR RHG Female Racing Emerald in the number 15 machine, ahead of Mark Lewis in that 66, the sister car in that number 3 machine. And GTWR really a force to be reckoned with here in the championship, Laura, because they've got so many teams, so many little groups out there in the various different championships. They've got one in the pro class, and they've also got another 3 in the silver class, and I would imagine they're going to have a fifth one elsewhere as well. So Stefan Graffedo holding on to Mark Lewis, and the point being out of that as well is obviously you can't imagine the fighting would be too intense between these two. If one's faster, I would imagine politeness and team etiquette would say, yeah, just take the place.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I also would reckon, because I guess normally the team captains will directly speak for this. You don't mess up with your teammates. And also, as we can see from how they drive, they have good training laps out there. They just follow each other completely perfectly around the track and then move positions or switch positions. That's what they get. But also even out of the slipstream, that's nice if you just have at least your team buddy just race with you together. But yeah, you see, it's hopefully working without any contact, and it does. So that's pretty smart and pretty nice from this team. As we can say, they're pretty trained and execute this level of proficiency as well.
It's not just a team game though, is it? I mean, it obviously makes sense. If you've got a faster car, let it go and use that to tow you around. What they have to watch though is Sebastian Handler in the number 29 MIA Esport machine just behind him, teamed up obviously with Ava de Andrade. He's looking very menacing there just behind the two of them. And then you've got Harry Phillips. Now that is a bit surprising for me, because I was expecting Harry Phillips to make some big inroads that we saw the likes of with Alu Gobi, but just not able to make the pace and make the positions up. Still in a good position, P7 with 23 minutes left to go. We're going to have pit stops coming up very shortly, our final pit stops of the evening here at Silverstone for round 4 of more female racers at the SimGrid. A huge thank you as always to our commercial partners, as well as SimHound, who have come on with us for this season of the championship, who make some very fine sim racing apparel, including their very famous sim racing gloves. Head over to the SimHound website to check that out. To Coach Dave Canamy as always, and to Thrustmaster as well. Wojciech Pawelczyk in the Lunanera machine in the 205. Trying to catch on to the back of Richard Pixley there, who's dropped down now into to 14th position. In fact, it's Errol Verwey he's fighting with, as Pawelczyk gets round and tries to go. Now, I've just noticed there we've had a DQ at the bottom of the screen. Now that's clear. That was the 190. Was that the 137 or the 139? Wasn't it?
Yeah, 39 Riddler Davis. I think they didn't take the drive-through. That's why there was a disqualification, if I'm not mistaken. This is actually quite a shame, because they were leaders, or they had a good qualification. They were 9th in their M category starting, and now they're just having no points at all, and this is really a shame. But I don't know why they did that. I mean, this is what also then your co-driver has to have an eye on that, because you directly see that, and you should be aware. But this is really a shame for this team.
Yeah, that's a bit bizarre, really. Not sure. It does always inform you. You get that wonderful voice saying, we have to come into the pits. I'm not going to try and do the accent that the pit guy has, but he certainly informs you every single lap that you have to come in for a drive-through penalty. So Laura, what is your experience with Assetto Corsa Competizione? We need to flesh this out ahead. In fact, I'll come back to that in a second, because have a look at this. This is Sebastian Handler on the back of Stefan Griffey, right the outside. That is ridiculous. There's no way he has just pulled that off. He has, what a move from Sebastian Handler around the outside at Brooklands towards Luffield. Job done, Laura.
Perfect. This was a great maneuver, as we can definitely say. He just watched how the number 15 car was moving around the track, and then he made the move, because you have cojones, as we would say in Spanish. But he did it. So this is amazing, and this is brilliant what he's doing, and that's what we can definitely say from the entire season, that he just tries it in different ways and different corners where nobody expects it, and then it works, because you see he's directly pulling away.
Yeah, brilliant stuff there. So Sebastian Handler takes that 5th position and moves up, and great to see is Sebastian Handler. I'm really impressed to see how this is all going to pan out, because Mark Lewis just ahead now, just about 2 seconds up the road here, and I'm going to have to take it back. I now don't think that Alu Gobi, as fast as they are, I don't think that Alu can take a podium position now. I think that that 90 is too far up the road, the Team Racing Point women machine, too far up the road to make that happen. So it could have been so different, but these are the way that these races go sometimes. And now, Laura, we're starting to see the final pit stops of the evening coming in.
Yeah, definitely. We have already the 103 already in the pit lane, and also Cosmo Marsh is in with the M category in the bottom, and also we have Denise Pope in the 26 machine now in the pit stop. And yeah, I just have to pay my internet a bit more because I can't barely read the numbers. But we have the 316 also with the 10-second penalty right now. But we also have the second position, which is maybe trying to get some more times down from Andrea Capoccia, which is Giorgio Simonini, being in the second place now in the pits. So they were just trying to do maybe an undercut, but of course they have 20 seconds ahead. So this is then trying to get a bit more points back. And also place number 3 is in the pit lane. And as you said, now this is the time where it's getting cracking. And yeah, I definitely think that now we still see some overtaking maneuvers on the track, and they come in side by side directly in the pit lane. That's smart.
Yeah, that's a great strategy play from the two of those, Muirhead and Benedetti, into pits at the same time. Benedetti tries to get a little bit cheeky and move to the inside there. As you said, Chiara Camariano in the number 90 into pit lane, as well as is Giorgio Simonini, trying to get a little bit of an advantage into these final 19 minutes of the race here. And this is going to be fascinating to watch how this all pans out. The 150 back out the pits then. So Yvonne Huffelaar is going to be the first of the pros into and out of the pits there in that 150 machine. Meanwhile, Andrea Capoccia in the GTWR RHG female racing machine is stretching off away into the sunset, and this is huge for the championship because as it stands, that number 12 machine of Grippax Engineering takes in another second place, and that then means that we go in with 2 rounds left to go. And I think that gap is going to extend quite a lot more. I would imagine probably into the double digits over Grippax Engineering for the Pro Championship. Still not out of sight yet, but it does mean that it's make or break when we come down to Zolder, because crucially, I think we could wrap up the Pro Championship with just with 2 rounds to go, or rather at the end of Zolder, Laura. And I think GTWR RHG are going to be looking to try and get that wrapped up as soon as they possibly can.
Yeah, that's what they definitely try to do. And yeah, the leader is now also in the pit. We get 5 seconds for the number 15 car played out here, and also Daniel Austin's Austin on the 316 has now pitted with the 10 seconds on there as well. And then yeah, this is not ideal when you are having only 2 seconds up front, but Oscar Sandbeck now, he is in the car, so good mate. Now you have to just do it, and there we also see that penalty is avoidable contact things.
So I'm having a look here, just seeing that the number 66 has done the jump over Roberto Lesca. Now let's actually talk about this for a minute here, Laura, because Roberto Lesca was running in 3rd place overall. So that looks to be a very, very slow pit stop. Either that or Altea because just did a monster stop there and got themselves up into potentially 3rd place in overall. But more importantly, done the jump in that silver class. So that is a huge outcome for the GTWR RHG female racing number 66. And crucially, again, it could be a GTWR first for Pro and Silver.
Definitely. And then we also had seen that they have kind of a good technique when it comes to these pit stops. They train it, I guess. That's what we definitely can say, because they're getting better and better each time. And also, even when you look at how they progress around the track, I think they share the setups as well, definitely, to help each other out. And this is what we can definitely say, that they have a good position in all the classes in terms of their driving styles. And yeah, pretty well what they do as a job here. And Alu Gobi also as well. It's incredible how they moved around the track now, being back in 7th position. Insane.
Yeah, it's a fantastic effort from Alu Gobi there. Alu Gobi actually now, as I'm just having a look as the time and screens update, I think it's about 24 seconds, I believe, behind third place right now, but we'll check that out already. But and it looks actually, has Eva de Andrade done the jump as well there actually? So Sebastian Handler with that amazing pace hands the car back, the 29 car back to Eva de Andrade, and moves them up into to second place in that silver class. So that is a heck of a jump as well, and I feel really bad for Roberta Lesca, who did a brilliant job in that first stint. And through no fault of her own or through Chiara Camarino, has lost that excellent momentum that they had there.
Yeah, but this is so great to see, because sometimes you just even they race across the track and maybe don't even see each other, but then they just play it out quite well in the consistency of the lap times. And then we also see Roberta Lesca trying to be in the sandwich, but yeah, this is what we also said, and what the driver said, where Natalie Lee gets a 55-second penalty as well. Not ideal, will drop her down a bit, but you have to be completely consistent in the driving styles you have, and then you can sneak through and get some points. If you don't do mistakes and you be completely consistent, then this gives you a good ahead of time and also better track positions.
Yeah, it certainly does. So that wasn't for position, I don't think, but we see here Roberta Lesca then try and make a move on Eva de Andrade. This is down the Wellington Straight. It's going to be blast off late breakers. It's not the Wellington Straight actually. Forgive me. That was actually Hanger Straight on the run down to Stowe, and gets sent out very, very wide. There's Roberta Lesca is going to be on the run down in towards the corner here at Club. There's contact between the two of them late on the brakes, and Roberta Lesca, it goes from bad to worse, and that is almost certainly going to be a penalty, you would imagine, as Eva de Andrade struggles with the car to get back onto the track. She's going to feel very, very hard done by after that clumsy move into Club Corner, and you saw that one coming a mile off. And if anything, again, Roberta Lesca struggling with that car. And how has Lou Gobi done that? That's very, very fortunate for Lou, who now is up, can you believe this, Laura, into fourth position. Lou has heard what I've had to say and has decided, no, I think I'm going to take that third place, thank you very much. So the question is, can Lou Gobi make up that 24 seconds up to third place? Meanwhile, Oscar Sandberg has lost the position, obviously, because had to go into the pits. So the 101 hands back the car to Celine Witcher, who comes out, and that is going to be down in sixth position there for Celine Witcher. So Lou Gobi now, I believe, is about 23 seconds behind third place. So it's possible. No, it's not. No, never in the month of Sundays, actually. 11 and a half minutes to go. There's no way that gap is coming down on its own accord. If there's an incident for Altea Book, possibly, but as it stands, I think that I think it should be done and dusted for Lou Gobi.
Yeah, sometimes you can't.
Sorry, I need to jump in. I've made a huge mistake there. I was just checking the timing screens. Altea Book and Lou Gobi, the difference between them is only 6 seconds.
Yeah, my timing is also quite jumping around. I don't know why, but.
Just on that note then, Laura, if that is the case, then Altea Book then, if she is only 5 seconds, in fact, I'll be able to tell you right now because I can just look at where the cars are on. Yep, that's right, Lou Gobi is within 5 seconds of Altea Book. I can't believe that still, after all this time, still after all the incidents, still after all hell breaking loose, Gobi is still in with a shout with 10 minutes left to go here of taking a podium spot.
Yeah, but this is what you predicted in the first place, so we're luckily having it right now, I hope, because definitely what we can see from the timings, they are flying, and I would be surprised if Alu cannot put it together, because points for them are so crucial, and I really want to hear them in the interview definitely later, because they must be completely sweating. But great drive. But Altea also want actually to be on the podium, so that will be really, really interesting. But what I can say right now, they're just dropping already in these seconds. And that what you actually wanted to ask me in the first place is of what I would prefer. I would now prefer, of course, as I would be LTR book, to have more seconds between Alugobi, because if you directly see the timings dropping dramatically right now, you probably maybe are not gonna make it, because still even then she's catching up. She's really, really strong in overtaking. You probably want to have more space.
Yeah, for sure. We'll keep an eye on that and see how that one all pans out. But amazing effort. Right, more penalties. My goodness me, coming in thick and fast then. Incident on lap 6 involving cars 103 and 997. That is a 10-second time penalty to the 103. That is turn 1, Grazie Kimi of Natalie Lee and Andre Michel. Sorry, no, it's not. That's turn 1, Magnums, Celine Witcher and Oscar Sandberg. Wow. Roberta Leska just absolutely mugs Celine Witcher to take P6 there, as I was almost distracted by all the penalties there, but that was a great move from Roberta Leska, trying to fight through. I've got no doubt that car is going to get a penalty very, very shortly for that incident earlier on. And then we've got another penalty involving cars 26 and 2. That's the Wild Things Racing Epix GG of Sarah Moore and Denise Pope and the number 2. And that is an unsafe rejoin, so it's a drive-through penalty to car 26. So Sarah Moore out of the top 20 and going to be falling further down the order. Here we go then, Alugobi. This is a charge and a half going on right now. Look at the gaps, Laura. That has come right down. I'll take a book within the sights of Alugobi.
Yeah, and it's just as nothing actually when we look at this. This is with 2 laps, 1.8 now in terms of 5 seconds. So this is why Alugobi now directly is on the radar, and she's like completely smashing it. And this is what I meant. Althea Book actually didn't want to have this kind of feeling in the 7 minutes in this race, because normally if it's just one lap to go, then this should be fine. But I think Alu is just completely cracking it, getting onto the podium, because yeah, look at this. I mean, the gap is just completely melting down, and yeah, the hunter is hunting.
It absolutely is. 7.5 minutes left to go in this race, and Alugobi in that number 12 machine hunting down. And again, this is huge for the championship, because think about it this way, this is all excellent points. This is all much needed points for Alugobi to take this charge, to take this championship fight to the final 2 rounds as we head off in a couple of weeks' time. We head off to Zolder on the 6th of December, and then we have that all important publicly voted track. Natalie Lee has got the window wipers on that car. I'm not sure if she's trying to get rid of some of the cars in front of her, or if it's just been put on by accident. But either way, that's going to be quite distracting when you're heading down the straight there.
Yeah, exactly. Probably that's the entire race already on. So that would be actually, sometimes maybe you ignore it completely, but if the button has been mistakenly pressed and you can't get it back, then you don't want to fiddle around in the race. You just leave it like that. So, but yeah, I think she completely ignored it by that sense. But look at what Alugobi is doing. And actually, as we spoke about the penalties, I mean, we have round lap now with the penalties, and we are actually in the race in round 26 and 25. So we still have some more to go. So I'm pretty sure that there will be coming some after the race is even finished. But let's see and hope for the best. But also, when we look at the timings, they're all so by side together. Even if when we look at Heather and all the others, she had a spin-off in Abbey, but never mind, she can still drive, because Natalie Lee still has 5 seconds, but there she will be still a leader in her class, probably, and Jessica Capelletti behind her has some spots left. But Alugobi now, she is on the rear wing of Althea Book.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. We'll keep an eye on that as well. Got a little bit of inside knowledge actually from the 139 camp. I think it's Alice Horton giving us an update. Alice Tricks in YouTube anyway. Team Cake, Angel Cake, they took the drive-through too early, then got assigned a drive-through and decided to risk a time penalty so they could try and take a shot at Cosmo Marsh and appeal the time penalty later. But it turns out that if you miss it, it's a DQ and not a time penalty. So yeah, that's that's unfortunate for the 139. They obviously had Alice Horton behind the wheel, incredibly fast driver for this race here, and it wasn't to be. Meanwhile, we've got another yellow flag. I think that is the 18 that has brought out a yellow flag. That is Jessica Pelletier for Rookie Monsters, if that is the case, gets going as well. But have a look at this then. Alou Gobi then on the back as they come through Abbey of Altea Book. Altea under all sorts of pressure as always. We see Altea on her stream right now. I can only imagine the faces that she is pulling right now. The 14 is absolutely demolished. That car is looking very damaged, of Maria Krichkova down in the bottom right there, currently off there at Maggots and Beckett's. I can only fear what has happened with that car involving one of the very nearby walls there, but down in towards the final couple of corners here with 4 minutes left to go. Alou Gobi still on that recovery drive charge here through into the final corner here at Loffield's round the right-hander. It's then going to be Woodcut, which I don't technically class as a corner, although it is ish. Round the right-hander here at Woodcut across the line, and again Alou Gobi right on the tail end of Altea Book, maybe dropping back a little bit here as they come through Copse, and again it's all going to be that run down the hanger straight here. Look at the run that Alou Gobi gets side by side now. Altea Book, this is never going to work through Maggots and Beckett's. What a move! Altea Book lets the car go, and it's absolutely as brave as you like for Alou Gobi. Amazing stuff. We've got a yellow flag for that 14 as it's still recovering through, and Roberta Leska gets a drive through now. Is that new? That's Maria Krichkova going backwards at Stowe Corner there. So yeah, that is a pretty rough day at the office for Maria Krichkova there. Oh, and Sophia Ronwin facing backwards. That is Maggots and Beckett's again. We've seen so many cars going sideways here.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I mean, the trials should be completely fine, but also we have some of the penalties flying in quite high, but probably Maria just tries to recover back. But Alou Gobi's now already really with a great drive in third place, and then we have seen the drive-through penalty for car number 90, which is now having to stop, which is Roberta Leska. But this is really, I mean, this will be shaking up the entire classification afterwards, I guess, anyway.
For sure. 2 minutes 15 left to go in the fourth round of more female racers here on the SimGrid. Drive-through pretty much nukes your chance of being in the top 10 with 2 minutes left to go. Gutting to see that from Roberta Leska there from the 90, but again we did see that one coming a mile off. That was that contact with the number 29 of Eva de Andrade there, as we see Sophia Ronwin still pushing that car, still hustling, trying to push as fast and as hard as that car will possibly allow them to go. So Alou Gobi proves me right. They get that final spot on the podium, and it really, I mean, that is an inspired drive, but all credit has to go, surely, Laura, to Sarah Dove for that amazing lead and what looks like another win for GTWR.
Definitely, and also I'm quite happy for Yvonne because she's now in the second place with the 150 and Alou Gobi back on the podium. This is actually quite intense of how they managed to get everything together in this podium, and it's really great to see how they recovered. As we look at Mia Svensson, she had so much trouble and couldn't even recover from that one, still stuck in 21st. But then you see how great they are in terms of their mindset already, how strong they just try to come back on track, where we see now the last seconds counting down for Sarah Dove here with her car, and it's just great to see that she will finish in the first place. This is really nice, because that's what we then definitely can tell, that training is important, that your team spirit is important, the drivers actually make the difference. And here, if you just actually have a good place, a good time together, and really great, nice of how to see they just manage it throughout the entire race here in Silverstone, and I'm pretty pumped for them.
Yeah, it's been a brilliant race there. Am I seeing things, or has Hedda Rangsetter just absolutely put it wide at Copse Corner there? Just getting going now. That car is very, very slow. In fact, it's stopped, and that's a dangerous place to have a car stopped at the exit of Copse Corner. The car jumps back into life. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Our race is done and dusted. And let's have a look here. So Aleta Indriani now, as a result of that, Laura, has taken the lead of the Pro-Am class. That's a very strange turn of events, because Hedda Rangsetter now drops out and quite honestly could be losing that position. It'll take a long time to Charlotte Robertson, but we'll see how that goes. But Sarah Dove here rounds the final half of the circuit here, and this is down in towards Aberdeen, in towards the loop, and then through Aintree as well, out onto that Wellington straight in just a second. And this is going to be tasting like such a sweet lap here for your race leader, Sarah Dove. And Laura, I think we'll have to hand things back to you for the finish of the race.
Yeah, pretty amazing drive from her, and congrats to the entire team of GTWR RAG Female Racing, with lots of teams spread out all over the entire classification, which is great to see that they will actually, can really prove that they have recovered, and they are worth of this kind of position on the podium, and you can see she's really happy that they pulled it together. Brilliant drive from her, and consistent throughout the entire race with such a huge gap for Yvonne Hufela. She will be then coming in second place shortly, and then this is great if they wait to the finish line so that they also have a nice photo finish in the end. But this is a huge gap, what we definitely can say they have until the second place. So brilliant drive from all the teams to recover in the second half, because we have seen that also only the penalties came out in the first rounds, and hopefully in the first ones. But here definitely we can say that Yvonne Hufela is making it in the second position, where we just have really to applause to Alu Gobi making this brilliant drive recovery from starting and then all the way down to the end of the pits, now coming in third place on the podium, as also David said and mentioned. This is really great and strong drive, and I pretty much think that they might be super happy, but also completely pumped at the end that they just made it. Brilliant from that side for the pro category, and we jump then to the Pro M1, which is the number 205 Elisa Andriani from Lunanera. Also a great strong team here, being the first ones in that kind of category. Lewis Keane and also Cosmo Marsh is really just making donuts on the grass. Brilliant drive here from the category, but unfortunately there are only 4 cars, and we had the 139 with the problems. But really great to see that they have fun on track, and also everybody is meeting here downstairs on the track together and racing to the finish line, making a photo finish and probably talking in the chat together. So brilliant drive from the drivers in the second stint of the race, trying to cool everything down. And that's what we can definitely say. It was a interesting race, a good start, great recoveries. Also, unfortunately, some of the penalties probably still be under review, but in general, strong drives for many drivers, good teamwork, and this will be really interesting going into Zolder in 2 weeks' time to get it cracking for the final rounds then shortly here on track at the More Female Races season 4. And hopefully we then definitely see some joiners coming in for the interviews. And David, we already have two of them waiting.
Yeah, we certainly do. Just confirmation then of the results for the top threes then. Sarah Dove in the 177 taking the leads. taking the lead in the pro class just now with GTWR RHG female racing with Andrea Capoccia. Second place going to the 150 RHG esports machine of Yvonne Hoefler and Giorgio Simonini. Third place going to Alu Gobi in that incredible recovery drive, teamed up with Harry Phillips there. Silver is taken by Altea Book in the 66 GTWR RHG female racing number 3. The Amazante takes the honours with Mark Lewis. Second place in silver is going to go to the number 15 Emerald Racing MFR4 machine of Esmeralda van der Nald and Stefan Graffet. And then in third place in silver is going to be the 101 Turn 1 Magnum machine of Celine Witcher and Oscar Sandberg. And then we move on to the Pro-Am as well, where it was all about that last 5 minutes of chaos for Hedda Rangseter that lost the lead of that race for them in the 102 machine. That handed things on a plate to the 205 of Elita Indriani for that AM. And on that note, let's actually have a chat with Elisa Indriani, who did grab that AM win. So we're going to presume that ELZ is... there we go. So a very, very good evening to Elisa Indriani and to Wojciech Pawlicek. Congratulations on the AM win. That was a bit awesome, the final 5 minutes. Firstly, Elisa, what was that race like?
Oh wow, well, it was unpredictable, especially in the first lap. It almost feels like Monza. It feels like round 1 for me. Like, it was so intense. All the drivers are way too fast than me, actually. But I'm just trying to, drive safe, to overtake safely and something like that. And actually, I didn't expect that I got another P1, especially in the last 5 minutes, I think, or even in the last lap. So yeah, this feels amazing for me, like, wow. It's like hard work pays off because, as you guys can see on the previous lap, I finished last because I forgot to request the driver. So yeah, this feels so sweet for me, this win. Yeah.
So just before I come to you, Vojta, I'm going to say this to you guys. Now, even with my very, very primitive basic math skills, by my reckoning, guys, you go into the final 2 rounds in the lead of the championship. Does that make any difference into how you're going to approach Zolder?
Well, I don't think so. I think that we just keep it the same. We will be safe at the first laps and such, and just be consistent, slow for us than others, but consistent, and that's what can bring us some wins, I guess.
I'm trying to be consistent and drive safe. I don't want to hurt another driver, because I believe everyone deserves a good race, so yeah.
Excellent stuff. Well, very quickly, Eliza and Vojta, just looking forward to the public voted track at the end of the season. Eliza, what one track would you hope it was?
Hoping Suzuka, to be honest.
And Vojta, what about yourself?
I would say Bathurst, just to have fun.
Oh, oh my god. That would be so much challenge for me then.
Vojta just wants to sit and watch the world burn. That's what he wants to do. Well, listen, guys, congratulations for Luna Nera. Well done, and looking forward to 2 weeks' time at Zolder.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us. Thank you so much.
So there we go, Elisa Indriani and Vojta Pawlicek from Luna Nera in the AM class. Let's go and have a chat with Yvonne Hoefler and Giorgio Simonini then, the 150 RHG esports machine. We'll bring them both in. Congratulations, guys. A fantastic, fantastic second place. Well deserved. Yvonne, what was the start of that race like?
Well, I said already before the race started to Giorgio, I'm sorry, I'm really bad today because I was ill and I did 1 hour of practice and that's too less in the Ferrari. So I'm sorry, but I will do my best. So didn't expectations at all and didn't expect P2 because I definitely didn't have the pace for P2.
And obviously, Giorgio, you took over the car halfway through the race and it was a little bit lonely, wasn't it? Because there was nobody really around you.
Yeah, I mean, I I was really not expecting to get P2 straight after the pits. I don't know what happened to the P2 at the beginning, so surely some good luck today, but surely some, from my side, some good pace. I kept myself consistent to try to get as much advantage as we could in order to leave Yvonne more stable during her last stint, and I think today we managed everything in a clean way, avoiding all the big accidents, and that's what made us the result today.
And then back to yourself, Yvonne, finally. I mean, just second place obviously is hugely important for the team's championship. You're currently third there just now, but some good points.
Yeah, very good, and I'm very surprised with the results, so I'm very happy and looking forward to Zolder.
That's what definitely Yvonne is saying. That's what I knew.
Well, on that note, guys, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Congratulations on the second place, and we look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
So there we go, Laura. That is all we have time for tonight, and my goodness me, we were spoiled at Silverstone tonight.
Yeah, definitely, and when probably next time we just get some more on that, but it was really, really great that we had this kind of crazy race and everybody was looking forward and is looking forward to Zolder. This will be completely interesting, and I cannot predict anything, I won't, but I will definitely enjoy it, and it was a great night, and Silverstone actually is fun. That's what we can say now.
Well, as always, a huge thank you to Laura Luff for joining me in the commentary box. A huge thank you to our production team here at the SimGrid behind the scenes of Mike Yao and Michael Hamlet. A huge thank you, as always, to our commercial partners over at SimHound, at Thrustmaster, and at Coach Dave Academy as well. And most importantly, thank you at home for watching us tonight. Join us in 2 weeks' time as we head to Zolder for the 5th round of Season 4 of More Female Racers. Until then, enjoy your week and stay safe.